it's very nice when you have a problem that you can solve exactly, but almost no problems are exactly solvable. That's the problem. That's why it's difficult. And all the exactly solvable problems, and there are about 3 or 4 of them, that's all, have already been solved, unfortunately. And all the rest of the interesting problems that need to be solved cannot be solved exactly. And you're going to need to have tools for solving what I will call, generically, a hard problem. Okay. So let's begin with a discussion of, how do you approach a hard problem, one that you can't solve exactly? Well, there are always 3 steps when you do perturbation theory. And the first step, so here is a hard problem. The first step is to insert a small parameter epsilon into the problem. So instead of solving one hard problem, amazingly, now we're solving an infinite number of hard problems that depend on a parameter epsilon. You can't solve one problem, so instead you convert it into an infinite number of problems, one for each value of epsilon. That doesn't sound like progress, but it is, you'll see. The second step, and this is a very tricky and very subtle idea, is to assume that the answer to the hard problem, which of course depends on epsilon, because there's one answer for each value of epsilon, we can assume that the answer has the form of a perturbation series, okay? For now, let's assume that the perturbation series is in a Taylor form, okay, a sub n epsilon to the n, and the objective now is to calculate the coefficients in the series, okay? So we calculate a0 and a1 and a2, and now we have the many terms, maybe even an infinite number of terms, if you're lucky, in the perturbation series. And now what do? Well, the answer is you add up the series and you calculate the answer. And then at the end, you set epsilon equal 1, and that's the final answer to the problem. Okay, so what's a hard problem? Well, how about solving this equation? Okay. Why is that a hard? Do you know why that's a hard problem? I mean, why do I classify this as a hard problem? So I wrote down a quintic equation, and you can't write down the answer. So by definition, this is not an exactly solvable problem. You can't write down the answer.